Hi students, Cynthia Nitch here. I want to go over basically part 1 of chapter 1 in this video. So chapter 1 has a lot of information, and then it unpacks with the following chapters that are to come. So don't be alarmed too much about how much information is in chapter 1. So as we start, chapter 1 basically is about how we use data, turn it into information, and then manipulate that information into business intelligence. So here are the learning outcomes. We'll be covering the information age and how we use data, and then also explain system thinking and how MIS enables business communications. So I think to wrap it, like if it was like I had one thing to say for this whole semester about the theory of this course, I would say that we're just looking and dissecting how to use information to create value. So obviously there's these kind of steps on how we gather information, or gather data rather, and then go ahead and make it information that we need for our company or for our employees or for our partners or our competitors, and then manipulate that and then go ahead and have that knowledge and know to look, and then actually diagnostics and do predictive analogy and prescriptive and all these other different things that we can manipulate to create knowledge for our company. So I have this video on data that I think is really interesting. It's this company called Switch, and they're a data center, and their original data center was in Las Vegas. And I just wanted to show you there's so many industries around every one of these categories, right? And this is kind of like, I guess, like the ground floor of the industry is just to kind of collect the data and allow others to create what they need as what they see as value. So I'm going to show you the data center in Las Vegas. So here's a quick video. They started in Las Vegas, but they have a Switch in Reno, Grand Rapids, and Atlanta. And these are kind of like strategic places in the country that they kind of get closer to their customers, and also kind of less environmental risks like extreme weather, even though it probably snows in Reno, but there's less extreme weather in some of these parts, so that was kind of strategic in where they are. So I'm just going to show a quick video on what the edge looks like. I haven't seen this one. Let's see. Let's look at this one. These little pods here keep the air conditioning away from the main center. I'll stop there. You're welcome to watch the entire video, but it's really interesting how they separated kind of the airflow and the air conditioning of the building so that they can protect their data fully, right? With like maybe water damage or some kind of, they have backup systems for their backup system. So I would think that would be a great place to work, or a great place, like if there's a business that has them as a partner. It's pretty amazing what their data centers look like. Okay, so let's move on. All right, so we saw this earlier, just like, you know, what's data, transactions that are recorded, classified, and stored. And then we make information based on the organization of that data. For instance, like maybe a San Diego State student ID has an ID number, and then that identifies that number to you, and then we can go ahead and do like finances and meal plans and actually do some kind of business intelligence and collect like how many freshmen make it all the way to senior year, how many people leave, stuff like that. So, and then knowledge, information organized and processed to convey understanding and expertise. I'm wondering if like you would take this data and say, you know, maybe a 17-year-old high school graduate as opposed to an 18-year-old high school graduate, which of these actually takes it all the way to senior year? And that would be manipulated in business intelligence. And then your knowledge of that is maybe we should look closely to accept students that are younger or students that are older based on the information that we have, so that we can have a higher retention at San Diego State. So all kind of things, you know, it kind of just builds on each other. Obviously in business intelligence, builds a lot. You could do graphs, graphics, and then just manipulate it and do a lot of diagnosis for it. Diagnostics, excuse me. Okay, so here's an example, knowledge. So I have data, I have one item. The knowledge is that the item I have is a product that has the most sales during December. But the month of December this year is going to see interest rates rise at 10% and snowstorms. So this is external data that's coming in that's going to affect our internal data, right? And so the knowledge of this would be, given the unexpected financial issues, they're going to give them a discount in November so that it increases the level by 10%. So basically they're going to hopefully try to break even, which is kind of not what you want in a company, right? You want to get ahead of it. All right, so using data, information, and so on to make decisions to solve problems is the key to finding the right path to a solution, right? So you're having problems with logistics, or you're having problems with customer service, or actually one product that keeps getting returned, stuff like that. So the more information you have, the better you can solve the problem. So I think like in close to 2021, no, I would say earlier, a lot of these companies, these enterprise business systems, had really figured out and got all the kinks out of their big information system. So before, like in the 80s and 90s, we used to use like silo information systems, meaning that accounting had their system and maybe supply chain had their system, and they really didn't talk. And so these big companies started popping up and making these enterprise systems that included everything, like human resources, accounting, logistics, and sales and distribution. And so it just helped other companies have like a standard way of doing things. It's called best practice. So they're all kind of popping up and saying, hey, we don't want to do silos anymore. And in fact, we want to go integrate in our company, but we want to integrate with our partners as well. So that's why you see these. These might look familiar. SAP, we teach that. Microsoft Azure, Tableau is a type of graphics, right, with charts and stuff. And Salesforce does really well. So those are, if you're looking for, you know, maybe you want to get into enterprise supply chain and stuff, these are the companies you'd want to kind of contact, right, or look into to see if you can get some kind of job or actually get really good at their software. All right, so we're still on data. So this video here, I'm not going to show it, but if you have time, just kind of look at it, like maybe the first 8 minutes or something. But the data, when they first rolled out the internet and web pages, we couldn't share the data. The data was kind of locked in As an example, maybe like when you do a PDF, sometimes that data is locked in and you aren't able to manipulate it. And so when the internet came out and everybody was looking at websites, it's almost like a fancy kind of brochure, or maybe just some research that was done, and you read about it, and maybe, I guess, you physically can transfer data from one place to another. But the real, like, when the .com bust happened, and then after the .com bust happened, people were trying to unlock each other's data so that they can use it to help their company or help their lives. For example, Waze, the data app that it helps you like get places quicker, that is due to unlocking data on the internet. So there's kind of two things with data: how we store it, and then also how we're using it now. It's just more powerful than ever, because we can grab data from the government and then pull it through to our company, data from the Weather Channel or whatever, and then that makes us have better decisions. So they broke up data into two sections. They call it structured data and unstructured data. So structured data is more like, you know, spreadsheets. It's kind of the easiest way to describe it. And unstructured are images and audio and video and all that jazz, right? Social media. So structured data is easy to conform and easy to kind of like make sense of it. And an unstructured data has the power of being unstructured, right? So you really don't need to capture data as data. You can just kind of watch trends and then make data out of that. So it's interesting how that kind of came about with the internet and the web. So I just kind of explained this. You can look that over. Here would be structured data. Obviously, databases like data warehouses and all the information that you keep with structured data, they created databases for it, and kind of the underlying structure of a database is called structured query language, SQL. We are going to learn Access Database in this class, but that Access Database is just a shell, like an app, but underlying of the Access Database is SQL. So every database is the underlying use. We use structured query language, and then whatever database it is within your company just uses a shell to manipulate that data. So, by the way, we teach SQL as its raw form here at San Diego State. So I highly recommend, if you're interested in databases, that you take this course, and even if you were just going to be a business major, it's actually a good course to know, because you can see how data is manipulated in its raw form as opposed to using just an app. All right, unstructured data, like I said, photos, satellite imagery, open-end survey responses, and that's unstructured data. So on unstructured data, it can be examined in many different ways. A person collecting the data does not have to define ahead of time what information is to be collected from it. So imagine if you just collected a bunch of data. On the next slide, I talk about a gym, and you're just collecting data. You don't care what kind of data it is, you're just collecting it all. And then you can make sense of it using business intelligence to kind of get things, information that you weren't even expecting to get, you know, and then making inferences, making changes to make your company better, or like stop the bleeding somehow on something that's going wrong. So I think it's just a great kind of shift. If you think structured, you have to gather that data, you have to organize that data. So it's a lot cleaner, but the one that's most robust and gives a lot of information that you wouldn't expect is unstructured data, right? So they can watch trends on Twitter, what people are talking about or doing on Instagram, all kinds of cool things. So here's an example of using unstructured video data of a gym. So instead of getting only time enter, time exit data, probably when you check in with your fob, right? The gym can collect more information about its gym members, like who they came with, based on video, who they came, when they came and went, who they came with, what they were wearing. Maybe like Nike or Adidas have kind of asked them to partner in and wanted to see what people are weighing in at the gym nowadays. What mood they were in when they arrived, the athletic physique. The gym member may have agreed with a gym to collect data. So when you sign that big old contract at the gym, it's just saying, hey, I'm okay with you capturing this video stuff. All right, so that's it for data. That was a lot, right? So now we're talking about information. Like how do we convert data into meaningful and useful context? So here's our data again. Let's just look at it real quick. We have a customer. Our customer is Walmart and 7-Eleven and Kroger. Our sales rep is this, and our product is chips. And then we just kind of say how much money are we making based on the day, our sales rep and our product and our customer, right? So you kind of figure that information out, and that would be structured data, or I'm sorry, that would be structured data changed into information. So the information we got from that structured data is that Walmart, Tony's best customer for total sales is Walmart, and they made this amount of profit, okay? Who is Tony's best sales represented by profit? So they figure out that our cross is the best. So just different questions that are happening in this and making information for their company, for their bosses, for their workers, and all that stuff. Okay, business intelligence. That was quick, right? We just kind of did one thing on information. So business intelligence is information collected from multiple sources so that we can analyze it with different patterns and trends and relationships. This is probably a screenshot of Tableau. This is called a heat map. And you can see like the deeper or the bigger the circle is, the more clients we have there maybe. And the heat, like blue, it seems to be the bigger clients, and red seems like a second tier client. And so kind of a cool way to tell a story, right? We can see in charts with our mind, we can instantly figure out what's happening as opposed to seeing like just a simple old spreadsheet. And these dashboards are just really useful because they can be manipulated all together when you change a number, or manipulated singular based on consumer. So we teach Tableau. You just have to look when you get a class. I think it might be under business intelligence courses. And then I teach SAP, which has an analytic cloud version to it, and we kind of dabble into dashboards as well. I would definitely recommend, if you don't take a class here with dashboards at San Diego State, you might want to go on your own and get like certified, because it's here and it's useful, and if the university doesn't teach it, you're going to need to know it. So it's a great resume builder. All right, business intelligence. So let's talk test a little bit. So we have a test coming up, and this is on it. So and you'll use your Connect to help you study for your test, but you'll notice that this is on it, and you'll get really good at what these mean because they ask it like tons of times in different ways. So I'll let you go ahead and just scan this slide. However, you'll see it on your Connect a lot. And also I have a couple of videos on my Canvas module for this chapter, and it talks about each one of these, so you might want to check that out. So I'm going to skip that for now. And then lastly is knowledge. Skills, experience, and expertise coupled with information and intelligence. So of course, right? So it's all that bringing information to create value and knowledge for your company, so that you can make a better profit, have a happier workforce and stuff like that. Okay, so this is another one of those slides that's in your test. So here's business intelligence. And then here's this part of the knowledge, and it just kind of says, what's a knowledge asset? And it'll be like a multiple choice question, and you'd have to figure that out, or it could be like a fill in the blank. So anyway, so all this is kind of stuff you guys can work on. It's pretty self-explanatory, but you're going to need to know it for your test. And then I just put this one in, knowledge workers individually valued for the ability to interpret and analyze information. So examples are programmers and physicians, architects, engineers, and scientists. So in this, they talk about knowledge worker on the very last part of it. And I noticed that that is on the test as well, so I wanted to kind of double down on that slide. All right, so that is the end of chapter 1, part 1. And I would like for you to kind of just describe data, information, and business intelligence and knowledge in your own mind, or you can kind of jot it down, and then go ahead and apply it. Like, what data do I need, for example, for inflation, and what information can I get from that data, and then how do I manipulate that data, and then how do I make that a knowledge for me or for you or for the company itself? What better knowledge comes from all the things that I've collected and manipulated? And do that for inflation really quick, do that for stocks, and do that for food prices. And it's not being graded or anything, it's just trying to get you to, like, we've learned, or we talked about this information on just chapter part 1. So I kind of want you to, like, think, okay, real life, how do I apply this to my real life? What is this happening? If I thought about data on inflation, or thought about data using stocks and stuff, how is that going to affect me? And if I change it to information, business intelligence, and knowledge. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 1, part 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and do another video on part 2. All right, thanks. Take care.